Struggling with debt? Bills, loans, credit cards? Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.
Oscar BEVIS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global here in Bethnal Green, just about under a mile away from the home of British boxing, York Hall. But seeing how the other half live today, Wednesday afternoon tennis for yourself, Jamie?
Do you know what? I ain't going to act like I come down here regularly and play tennis. I'm the worst tennis player in the world. My dad used to try and take me as a kid, and I've got two left feet, and I don't know, none of my hands used to seem to work when I played tennis. So, but this is probably my first game in about 5 years, so I'm playing in about an hour. Not looking forward to it.
I was going to say, you're lucky I'm speaking to you now and not filming you playing tennis then.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Yeah, I basically got onto you because I saw you on O'Hara Davis's live. I think that was when I was locked down in the MTK bubble. The whole thing came out about O'Hara and Marku. I jumped on live. He was just abusing Marku and I was sort of egging it on. And then I saw you in the comments and I think you jumped on his live and I thought, you're a boxing man, why not have a chat?
Yeah, mate. I've been a massive boxing fan since I was a kid. I started boxing when I was a bit young and I've done it on and off for best part of 17, 18 years now. And yeah, I actually heard about the O'Hara Davis and Florian Marku thing for a friend. And I saw he was doing a live and jumped on there, and he's always a colourful character and he's good to listen to. So yeah, that was why I was on there.
But you're not just someone who's a boxing fan, you have got a little bit of history of being in the ring yourself. I want to jump straight into that sort of stuff. Because for someone that will be known through Love Island, I've spoke to Jack about this as well, no matter what sort of history you've got in boxing, whether you had 80 bouts as an amateur or only stepped in the ropes once, you're going to be judged as someone who's in Love Island. And I can already tell the comments in this video is, what does this guy from Love Island know about boxing? But you've got that sort of background where, you know, you've been in and you've done it yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Jack Fincham, obviously, he's had a good amateur career, and yeah, he's definitely got a good history in the sport. Me myself, I've done it. I've trained in and out of amateur gyms. I've wanted to compete, but I used to model, so I never actually got down to competing. So as much as I've trained for a long time, I've never gotten in the ring myself. So I'm not going to pretend that I have. But it's something that I've always wanted to do, and now I've stopped modelling. I've been back in a gym. I'm training down at Amigos in Sidcup now, where Archie Sharps trains. Well, did train actually. He's moved on now. Yeah, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. I've always been told recently, especially in gyms, that I should definitely give it a try. I'm 30 now, time's running out kind of thing, so I'm going to give it a good go.
Oh, so you haven't actually stepped in the ropes yourself from a fighting perspective, but was it purely the modelling that took you away from that? So as soon as you started that, you sort of just gave up the boxing completely?
Yeah, as soon as I started modelling, I used to spar in that, but then a couple of occasions, obviously I'd turn up with a black eye and that wouldn't exactly be the best situation for my career. So I always train for fitness, hit punch bags, train with a couple of trainers doing pads and stuff like that, sort of put the sparring on the side. And it's always something that's been at the back of my mind. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but there's obviously been that block. I was earning good money modelling as well, so I didn't really want to mess up that side of my career. But now that's gone, the bug is back. Now I've been back in the gym, the bug's back for real. So I've got my card down at Amigos, my amateur card. I'm just waiting for this stuff to go away now so I can get in the ring and give it a shot.
Exciting times then. I want to just jump into where you started enjoying boxing as a fan. Have you got like a first memory, something that you can always remember being the thing that got you into boxing necessarily, or like your youngest memory, I suppose?
Yeah, funny enough, I remember this really vividly. My dad's got this tattered old like cardboard box, and it always used to have cassette tapes of like Ali, Tyson, all of that stuff. And my dad's been an avid boxing fan. Actually, a lot of the lads in my family were. So when I was, I don't know, probably 8, 9, something like that, I used to see him watching them videos. And then he used to talk to us about it. I think I was probably 9 or 10 when we first went to an amateur club in Braintree. It just all sort of started from there, really, and just seeing my dad watch it and seeing how sort of, what the word is, passionate he was about it, and just sort of picked it up. And it's sad, actually, because my dad was a really good footballer and he really wanted us to play football, but none of us really wanted to. So at least this is one sport that we had in common.
Have you got like a reason as to why it was boxing over football? Like the most common thing you hear is people say they caught the bug, like when they walk into a gym, like, even if it's like the smell of the gym, like the old leather and all that sort of stuff. Have you got like something that you can click and put into place as to why boxing over football?
I don't know. I watch team sports every now and then, and I did like them, but there's something about boxing that I say, this is really hard for me to pinpoint. But I always talk about this now, boxing's ability to really help you mentally inside and outside the gym. I know a lot of sports can teach a lot of different skills, but I think boxing really helps you harness a lot of your emotion, your anger, all of these sort of different things, your nerves, and that translates to outside of the gym. So the first time I tried it, it was the biggest adrenaline rush, but I also found that it really helped me in day-to-day life. It was kind of something that, especially as a bloke, I think we have a lot of like pent-up energy and pent-up aggression. And I think it's kind of that, and I think that's what gets so addictive about the sport as well, because you genuinely tend to see that it's not just that partaking in the sport that helps, it's like everything that it teaches you to take out into your day-to-day life. So I think that's probably, as a youngster, what I saw and admired about the sport so much.
And we just had a little chat beforehand as well. You've been doing some work with Gloves Up, Knives Down. I know they've had a few events at Repton, one which I was meant to attend, and I'm sure they'll have a few more after this, which we'll get down to. But yeah, you've got a couple of pro boxers there, sort of guys like yourself from TV, trying to push the fact that, you know, boxing could be a way out of street crime, going through the criminal justice system, coming from an underprivileged background, and all those sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was at that event in Repton actually, and there was they've got some really good support, and I think that message it kind of just ties into what I was just saying there. I think a lot of people could benefit from the lessons that boxing teaches, and especially in an aspect of, you know, you look at knife crime on the streets. I've always looked at that situation and thought, you know, for that situation to happen takes a healthy dose of nerves, fear, anger, all of these different things, but they're mixing in something like having a tool on you like a knife. I think if more kids understood how to harness their anger and their emotion in a situation like that, then it could prevent it from happening. And also realise that fighting outside the gym, there's just no need for that kind of thing. I understand you know, every area that this happens in has their own challenges to face already. But I think it's something that definitely young adults and young lads could definitely learn from the sport. And there's countless stories to tell, you know, that can tell you about people that have turned away from that sort of lifestyle, and something like boxing has helped them with that. And listening to people talk about it now as an adult, looking back on that and seeing how boxing helped them, it usually is a contributing factor, or at least the main one, if not, you know, a small one.
And it's mad really, because you say about the challenges areas facing out, like I said at the start, we're just like meters away from York Hall, where you've seen people become British champions and stuff. Yet we're also a hotbed for knife crime, so there is that sort of balance. Yeah, you've got a podcast. I want to talk about your podcast. We had a little chat about that as well. I don't know if I've just pre-announced this actually.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually spoke about it yet, and I'm not sure how much. I haven't been told not to say anything. So,
there you go.
I have got a podcast going, and it is basically about everything we've spoken about then, about how boxing can help with knife crime. I'm doing it in conjunction with Gloves Up, Knives Down. We've got 2 seasons so far contracted, so we're looking to record our first one. We're gaining some really good backing and stuff from it, and good momentum. And again, it is all about, I really want to hear the stories from professional fighters about how boxing has mentally prepared them for life inside and outside the ring, how it's pulled them out of troubles, and how it's just reshaped their thoughts and feelings around what being tough is. And again, like I say, with kids in the street, I think a lot of it is peer pressure comes into a massive factor, especially in a gang environment, especially in them environments where you're getting egged on to do something and there's a load of people around. That does, you know, that's a huge factor of this. But I think a lot of it, if kids could really hear this message from boxers and understand that all of that stuff, once they're older in life, they'll look back on and probably with a hell of a lot of regret. And if we can get them there a little bit quicker by hearing from people they look up to, and having a sport like boxing give them some really, really valuable lessons in how to prevent that and how to control their emotions, then I think it's a really beneficial thing. So that's what we're aiming to do with this podcast.
I want to go back to a fellow Love Islander. I believe he came in the year after you. I think you probably knew I was going to mention this, yeah, because I spoke about sort of the spotlight you might find yourself in if you were to become a professional boxer. It's almost like to the casual audience you'll be known as someone from Love Island. To the hardcores you'll still be known as someone who will be a Love Islander ultimately. Yeah. Idris was a professional boxer beforehand. He then went into Love Island. His stock rose. He's now sort of fighting on Channel 5, free-to-air boxing. He can get his name out there. And then he chose to do what he done. I'll leave it at that. Against a Norton 7 journeyman. I just want to get your take on that.
I, funny enough, spoke to someone about this last night. Listen, I don't know Idris. I don't know him from Adam. I have no idea what he's like in person, what he's like in real life. But I've always said there's a way of playing in the enemy or playing the villain, and that garnering a bit of support for you and making people purchase your fights if you were on pay-per-view or something like that, or bring a set of eyes to your fights. But there's a time and a place to do it, and I think disrespecting a journeyman like that, when there was no pre-existing needle there was no reason for it, then it was just way too theatrical. I think it was a silly move on his part. I don't think, to be honest though, actually saying that, I've heard that he's been given a big offer to fight someone who saw that and hated that and wants to, he's going to have a lot of people want to punch his head in now, so maybe it will get him paid. But in terms of disrespecting a journeyman like that, to get your name up there, I think it's just a little bit of a low blow, a little bit unnecessary. And it was just like, I was in disbelief watching it. It didn't look genuine, for one, do you know what I mean? And it wasn't genuine, obviously, because the geezer hadn't done nothing to him. It was just a bit of a circus, mate. It was ridiculous. But do you know what? Each to their own. If that's the way he wants to do it, that's the way he wants to do it. And like I said, I don't know the guy, so.
But we can't expect any of that for you then. If when you turn professional, you get these press conferences and that, it's going to be a little bit more relaxed and throwing your bottle of water over a journeyman.
Do you know what? I am in full, I'm under no illusion that I'm always going to be known, like you've said, as someone that's come off of Love Island. No one knows what I'm like at boxing. No one knows how much of experience I've had, apart from a couple of pad videos I might put on my Instagram, but it's the tip of the iceberg really. No one really sees you in the gym. So I'm not going to go out there and shout about being something special. I'm not going to play myself down. I'm going to let what I do the talking. If I don't do well, I don't do well. But I'm confident in my ability, but I want to make sure I don't go around disrespecting people in the process, you know what I mean? This is a sport I love. The last thing I want to do is disrespect the sport and disrespect myself in doing so. So, yeah, you won't be getting that from me.
I think there'll be a lot of people who are quite glad to hear that. Let's talk about sort of the current scene. Obviously, a good time to get into British boxing. We've just seen the October autumn schedule announcement. Eddie and Matchroom, the White Povetkin rematch, Joshua Fury talks next year. You don't need me to go through the whole calendar, we know it. It's a bloody good time to get involved in it.
It is, yeah, and obviously coming off the back of Corona now, I mean, we're really lucky to have all this stuff going on. I mean, it's put a lot of sports on halt, sort of frozen everything to a standstill, but everyone's out there working hard. They've done what they can to get the shows back on the road. There's some wicked fights coming up. There's already a bit of controversy. Obviously, White getting stopped up by Povetkin, a bit unexpected. I know you had McCaskill's, not McCaskill's, took Brackers's, titles. There's some good stuff going on. It's a bloody good time to get into it. And I must say, over the last 3-4 years, the sport's just been on like a massive upward trajectory. So obviously you've got faces like Joshua and that, like elevating the heavyweight division. But now even the heavyweight division, man, you've got so much talent coming up through in that. There's some wicked stuff up ahead.
Stick your number one down.
My number one? Oh, mate, I don't really have one. This is such a difficult question. Being, all I can say, someone that I like their style and I like to emulate, or at least try, little Love Island boy trying to emulate Usyk, is Alexander Usyk. I think he's brilliant. I'm really interested to see him up at heavyweight, but I've always said this, I love his lead hand. I love the way he hypnotises people with that hand. I love his footwork, and for a man my size, he's the same weight as me. He's someone that I really look to for inspiration kind of thing. And but then other than that, obviously Lomachenko's an obvious one. Canelo and Crawford and all of these people. Fury's brilliant. It's just a lot of talent about, mate, and I don't like picking favourites. Too diplomatic, ain't I?
I was going to say, you can take those splinters out your arse when we turn the camera off. We're going to have to talk about, obviously, the big one that we're expecting. We saw with White Povetkin, the boxing gods seem to work in any other way compared to what we want at the moment. But if we get Joshua Fury, can you pick that one?
God. I mean, I'll tip it in the favour of Fury. But all I've ever said about this is, if Deontay Wilder can land on Tyson Fury like he did in the first fight, then I would put more money that Joshua can also land on him. Whether Joshua's got the power, Wilder's got freakish power. Joshua, I think, has got a little bit more speed and a bit more skill, technical ability. That's why I'd favour him to land on Fury a little bit easier than Wilder would. But with Fury showing that he can switch it up and go and put pressure on like he did in the second fight and change his game plan, he's erratic, he's unpredictable. Just don't know how Joshua's going to deal with that. So I would say if they fought 10 times, Fury would win 7 of them, that kind of thing. So I'd tip it in his favour. But yeah, that's a hard one. It's a bloody exciting one, isn't it?
It's a bloody exciting one. Can't wait. I know you said about you don't want to pick your number one and stuff, and you know, that's just your opinion, obviously. I know in the back of your head you'll probably have a number one, but do you feel like already you're in that boxer mould of, obviously, I'm not going to say you're going to sign with Top Rank and that, but you're in that boxer mould of sort of not wanting to pick too much because you never know, one, whose path you're going to cross, two, promotionally, who you could work with potentially. There's a lot of things, you're already in that boxer mindset where you just want to keep it very neutral until you have something certain, if that makes sense?
Do you know what? People have always said this about me, my opinions sometimes. The one thing I say, opinions can change and they can change drastically. And until I've got enough information to form a really solid opinion one way or the other, I don't really like to do it. I like to say what I like about certain things and what I don't like. I'm more than happy to say fighters that, you know, things about fighters I don't like, or some fighters that I don't think are that great. But in a way, I'm not going to go and turn around and say they're shit or say it disrespectfully. Do you know what I mean? I think there's ways to say stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been like this. I don't think I'm just putting myself in that sort of mind frame. I just try and like break things down from both sides and just sort of, you know, give a little bit more of a nuanced answer, should I say. You might catch me pissed up one day and I'll be like completely different. But yeah, no, it's a tough one, really. Just try and be diplomatic about things.
Maybe we'll catch you at like a viewing event or something, the Fury Joshua viewing event. You can have a few beers and then you can stick some real opinions down.
Rubbish. No, I must say, when I watch boxing, I get really emotionally involved. And anyone that's watched it,
You go to a lot of shows, is it?
Yeah, when I can. Yeah, last year I probably used to go to one a month at least, more if I can, depending. Me and my trainer used to love to go to York Hall. Used to be up here because it ain't too far from me now. I live down in Greenwich, right near the O2 now as well. I only moved there in Jan as well. I was well excited about being by the O2. I said to a miss, I'm like, let's move to Greenwich so I can go to boxing more often. But then it all shut down. But yeah, I love to go to as many shows as I can because I think a big part of this, especially for me now, I don't just like to learn when I go into the gym. I like to just fill my head with the sport, watching interviews, watching people talk, watching videos online. You can learn so much from even watching, as long as you're a bit of a sponge and you take it all in. And there's nothing better than being, you know, front row at a fight and watching everything close up. You get a sense for it, you get a sense for the adrenaline as well there, which can prepare you in other ways as well. So, yeah, mate, honestly, I mean, Camilla can probably agree with this. I'd talk about it, watch it, probably at least 3-4 hours a day. And plus with the training on top, so she always looks over in bed and I'm sitting there googling, reading articles about boxing and stuff. Drives her mad. But yeah, mate, I love it. Absolutely love it.
You're going to be a father, so obviously first things first, congratulations. If you had a little boy, I don't know, do you know the gender of your baby yet?
We don't.
Right. If it was to be a little boy, well, it could be a little girl as well, but I mean more likely for a little boy. Is it something that you'd try and push your boy to get into like you did as a kid, or?
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I'd want to push them into boxing because I'd done it, or more of a bit of a selfish thing of like I just loved that moment of me having my little lad with pads and and his little gloves on and having that as a bit of a bonding experience. And as boxing's so big in my life, I think naturally I would obviously love that for him. It's a little bit similar to what happened with my dad. It was with us. It was a bit more with football. Like he used to take us to football practice. We were all crap at it. We used to go and watch his games and that. So I could really tell then the exact same thing, and I think I'm going to feel the same way. So yeah, it's definitely something I've thought about. It's something I'm looking forward to. Yeah, boy or girl as well, I guess. You know, it's just going to be a good thing to have between you, isn't it? So hopefully they want to, you know, and I don't have to like keep dropping hints and being one of them parents. It's like, can't do this, you'll love it. Yeah, no, we'll see.
You're going to have a lot on your plate, but do you want to finally talk about your ambitions for turning professional? Because like I said, you're 30 years old. You know, you ain't been through Team GB and Team England and all this, so you know, obviously, no offence to yourself, but it's going to be a limited career as far as you can go. Do you have title aims or somewhere you'd like to fight or someone you'd like to fight on their card, or is there any aims that you've set in stone now, or is it just take it as it goes?
The only aims I've got basically are to do it properly, to train hard, to get as much good sparring in, as much good preparation in, because like I say, I'm under no illusion that it's going to be a bit of a tough road starting so late. Although I've been around the sport and I have trained for a long time, there's no substitute for actually doing it and the experience that brings, and that's the experience that I won't have. So I'm going to, you know, fight as many amateur fights as I can for, I'd say 6 months to a year, gauge how I'm getting on there. I've had a lot of people say I've got a lot of potential and be praising me in the gym for stuff like that. So it's definitely given me the motivation. So I'll just sort of gauge it there. In terms of professional, if I could win a domestic title, I'll be over the moon. But yeah, we're going to take it one step at a time. Definitely not going to sell myself short. I'm going to gun for it. So we'll see what happens.
Struggling with debt, bills, loans, credit cards. Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.